Hello everybody, it's Jenn, Scrapbena Creations. I'm so excited to be guest designing for the Love for Lizi September Super Card Kit this month. Here's a quick look at all 10 cards that I made, and let's jump right into card number 1. So for card number 1, I decided to use all the beautiful floral and sprig embellishments that came in the embellishment pack. And if you missed what's in the kit, I do have an unboxing video on my channel. Unfortunately, this kit is sold out, but if you were lucky enough to grab it, then I hope this can give you some inspiration. So I decided, like I said, to start off this card with all of the floral ephemera, and I'm making a really pretty everyday kind of card. I have the large floral piece on some fun foam, but I haven't adhered it down because I wanted to get all of those pieces behind it secured before I adhered that main focal point. I'm going to be making a hello card. I'm just going to peel off the backing of the 3M foam tape. I'm going to get that into place. I've cut out this hello using an MFT die that's from my stash. I used the pearlescent black cardstock for that, which is so pretty. It just gives something that could be so simple a beautiful finish and really kind of takes it up a notch. So this card is pretty much complete. I am going to use the Nouveau drops that came in the kit, the Wisteria Purple, I believe it was called. Just going to add a couple of dots here and there. I do add some smaller ones around the floral center focus of the card. And there's a complete look of card number 1. So I'm going to just show a still shot, and then we'll move into card number 2, which I used the amazing spiderweb stencil that came in the kit. I'm using my black soot just on some regular 110-pound Recollections cardstock, and I do have the card base taped down on the back. I'm just using a light hand here. I wanted it to kind of fade off to the outer edges of the card and be darker on the inside. I've seen some really cute cards made with this stencil. And so this is my take on it. So I'm just going to add a little bit more of the black soot Distress Oxide ink so it's darker in the center. And once I have that done, I'll peel it up, and I am going to round the corners for this card just for a little something different. So I like the soft look that this gives. I used some of black cardstock just for the card base, and I rounded the corners of the card base as well. I'm going to add the little spider ephemera to the center of the spider web, and then I'm going to use the little sentiment Too Cute to Spook, which came in the decoupage sheet. I'm adding on some sequins just to tie in the colors that are in the little spider piece. Those sequins are absolutely gorgeous. I use them a ton on these cards. So there's card number 2 complete. Moving on to card number 3, I'm doing a long card. I've really enjoyed making these lately. I did a couple over the summer, and so I thought because there were so many ephemera in this card kit that I loved that I would do another one here. I'm doing a really soft background again. I'm using let me grab them here. I'm using 3 of the Distress Oxides, the Hickory Smoke, the Shaded Lilac, and the Spun Sugar, which went really well with this card kit. So first I laid down the Hickory Smoke, then the Shaded Lilac, and then the Spun Sugar just to give it a really soft, pretty background. Added some water to add some distressing to that background, and then I'm going to lay it on my card panel. So I wanted to use this black cat, which was absolutely my favorite of the ephemera, and because she had a little witch hat on, I thought I would add in a bunch of the ephemera pieces that could correspond to a witch scene. So I used the sentiment I Put a Spell on You, which is from the decoupage paper, And then I'm just going to add these elements right down on to the card panel with my Nuvo Deluxe adhesive. I'm not going to use any foam adhesive here. I am going to add some dimension to the cauldron here in a second once I get all these laid down. I had to play with the positioning of this potion bottle here, which is so cute because I had my sentiment down a little too low, but I just tilted it and it worked out fine. So I wanted to add some sparkle to this, and I thought that I would try adding the sequins to look like it is the potion or whatever is being cooked up by this cute little kitty for her spell. So I thought this made really cute bubbles. And because there's different sizes of the sequins in the kit, I decided to layer some of the smaller ones on top of the bigger ones. And then I'm going to add some of the sequins behind that first layer. Let me get those into place. I'm using my multi-matte medium here from Ranger. It dries clear so you won't see it. I'm just picking up all these little sequins with my quick stick, and then I'm going to add some bubbles floating into the air, and I really love how this card turned out. I think the sequins just added such a cute look to a pretty plain and simple card. So I'll show you a close-up of that card. Didn't that turn out adorable? I love that kitty with the eyelashes. So cute. So for card number 4, I decided to use one of the stamps. I thought it would be fun to throw in some orange colors for Halloween. So I'm coloring her up as a little bit of a dirty blonde Batgirl. I've left all the markers to the left-hand side there if you want to see the colors that I'm using. I'm using a combination of my Spectrum Noir and my Copic markers to color the image. She's so cute with her eyelashes as well. Give her some rosy cheeks. And then I'm going to add in some of my C markers here. So the darkest color I'm using is a C9. And I'm doing that under her arms and then as the wings kind of float out just to give it some dimension. And then I'm going in with the C7 and the C5 really quickly. I'm going to blend that in really well and then move on to her little bat hat, coloring that up with the same colors. So the C9 and then the C7. I almost forgot to use the stamp set for the images because there's just so many adorable ephemera in the kit, and they were just colored so beautifully that I just wanted to use them all. So I'm just going to get that blended up, and then I'm going to give her some stripes on her leggings. So I'm doing the C9, and then I'm going to take the darkest color that I used for her hair just to tie that in. It's almost an orangey color. And then I got my lines a little close together, so I just decided to use my white Signo gel pen to add some lines to her leggings. For her top, I'm going to do an orange color. So I'm using the TN5, which I believe I used for the hair as well, and then going over that with the OR1 for an orange color, like I said. So there she is cut out with the coordinating die that comes in the kit. The dies were already cut apart, which was awesome. Saved me about 15 minutes at least without having to cut those apart. So I'm using the really pretty skull paper. It has like gold and orange tones to it. I just stamped out the sentiment Happy Halloween from the stamp set onto a stitched oval panel that I die cut out, and then again I'm going to add some of these sequins because I just love them that much. So I'm just going to use the black and the gold for this card, and it ties it in nicely. So there's card number 4 complete. She's so cute with her cute little striped leggings. So moving on to card number 5, I'm using the decoupage which I've never used before, and I have to say I loved it. So I already put my 3M foam tape on the back of the pieces, and I'm just putting those together. She is so adorable. I just love the color palette with the beautiful purples and the pinks. So this is another quick and simple card. I'm using one of the skull pattern papers again. This time I'm using the one that has the kind of white, black, purplish tones to it. I think there might be some pink in there as well. I'm using some of the silver ribbon that came on the Happy Haunting ribbon spool there. So I'm just going to adhere that to the back of this panel, and then I'm going to adhere the panel to my card base. This card base is using the granite or the gray that came in the card kit. And again, I used that pearlescent black and cut out a stitched oval die. So I'm just going to lay her on the oval, and I'm going to tuck the sentiment in that says sweet and spooky. That was from the decoupage paper as well. And I love how this made such a cute and simple card. You don't really need much with the decoupage because it just adds so much to your card as it is with the additional layers to it. So I am going to add a bow on top of the ribbon using a glue dot, and that will be that card complete. I think she turned out really cute. So moving on to card number 6, I'm using the Witch decoupage. I had already put it together off screen, and I'm going to use some of the pink pearlescent cardstock that came in the kit. That pearlescent sheen is just so beautiful. I had a little bit of the black left, so I'm using another stitched oval for my focal panel here. This card is super simple. I'm going to adhere her on, and then I'm using the sentiment Witch Please, which came from the decoupage sheet. And I really loved kind of setting the sentiment in between the image. I'm going to add some sequins on this card just to tie in the colors again. My sequins were sticking a little bit. And that's that card complete. I'm going to add just one more little sequin. I already said this, but I loved how the sequins were different sizes, so you could layer them up. So cute. She's so pretty. So moving on to card number 7. This is my absolute favorite card of them all. So I'm using one of the wood pieces, and I'm just taking my black Spectrum Noir marker and I'm coloring over top of that. I'm going to add some of this embossing marker pen. This is new from Lawn Fawn. It worked great. And then I'm going to add some clear embossing powder on top of that. I did leave a little bit of this center as it was, so there'd be a shine to either side, and I like how that turned out. So I'm just going to use my heat tool here and get that all nice and shiny. And then I'm going to do the background, which is really simple. So I'm bringing in the shaded lilac, and I just want to make it look like the bubble or steam coming from the cauldron on the back. But other than that, this card has a lot of white space, but it's my favorite. And of course I forgot to zoom out here, but you can see everything I'm doing here. And of course the ATG just doesn't work on the wood. I don't know what I was thinking. So I'm using my wet adhesive. I'm going to add that cauldron in front of her. I love how it looks like she's standing behind it, kind of reading her potion or her spell book and making her potion. So I'm going to add the sentiment Spooky, which came from the decoupage set. Again, I loved how easy it was to create cards with all of the elements in this kit. And then I thought I'd do something a little different. I had no idea how this was going to turn out, and I was kind of nervous because I loved this card as it was. But I took some of the Nouveau drops and I added it into the cauldron so that it looked like the potion or whatever was inside there was kind of bubbling up around her. And you can see there when I first did the little one, I had a little splatter. So I'm just going to add a couple little splatters around the sentiment to tie it in, and I like how that looked. There's my favorite card out of the 10. Love how it turned out. And now we'll move on to card number 8. So for card number 8, I'm bringing back the spun sugar, the shaded lilac, and the hickory smoke. I'm just going to show you a bit of this and cut a lot of it out, but I wanted to create a night scene, but I wanted to do it a little bit different and play on the colors in the kit. So I am going to have this be the moon, and I'm going to put the little ghost character in front of the moon. At first I wanted to just leave it with the hickory smoke, and you can see me kind of going back and forth blending on my layers, but it didn't look quite right, so I did need to bring in the black soot around the edges to make it really look like a night sky. But I love how in the end it looks like the moon is glowing pink. I'm going to get that on, and then I'm going to peel up the mask. I just cut that mask out of, I just used a circle die with some full sheet Post-it note paper. I'm just finishing up the blending. It takes so long to get a blended background. So here's what the panel looks like with the mask removed. So I'm just dipping my paintbrush into the hickory smoke oxide just to give the moon some definition. And this step really makes the moon look like a moon. It doesn't take much, but it really adds a lot of detail to it with very little effort. So I love how that turned out. I am going to cut this out using a scalloped die. This is an MFT die from a Blueprints collection. I'm going to pop this entire panel up on some fun foam. Just going to adhere that down with my ATG tape, and then I'll lay that card panel onto the card base. So fun. I really can't say enough about this kit. I hope that you were able to grab it while it was still in stock. Got me really excited for Halloween. So here's where I'm putting on the little ghost ephemera, and I'm going to give her the bow with the skull. That also came in the ephemera pack, and then I'm using the Boo Y'all sentiment, which is adorable, and I couldn't really decide where I wanted it to go. After I got that on, I felt like the bottom right hand corner was a little empty, so fixed that up with adding some sequins. So on to card number 9. Card number 9 was super simple. I'm using the reversed stitched window die that was just released by Lawn Fawn, and I cut it out of some of the lilac cardstock. Makes a really easy shaker card, so it just added some foam adhesive and some of the sequins from the kit. And then I'm going to add this little bat, which is so adorable with its big ears. Of course, then I thought that I was going to use one of the decoupage sentiments, but then I decided that I wanted to use the spooky sentiment that came in the stamp set. So I had to turn my stamping positioner so that it was on the rubber stamp side because I had layered on the foam adhesive and put my card together already. That's a great thing about a stamping tool, is you can pretty much get away with everything and anything, even if you've almost completed your card. I did need to stamp it a few times, but that's okay. I finally got it to be really crisp. And of course, once I had that image on, I decided to put the bat on the left-hand side. And then as a finishing touch, I really wanted to use the Love from Lizi strips. These are so amazing, and I've always wanted to play with them. So super excited. I was trying not to get my fingers in the ink here. So I'm just going to cut that off. I'm going to put 2 strips, one a little bit wider than the other. And that's pretty much going to complete card number 9. So here's a close look. Shaken really cute. Of course, I forgot to add my embossing tool to the inside of the foam, so it's sticking a little, but that's okay. Look at the cute little smile on the bat. So cute. Okay, for card number 10, I'm using the Lawn Fawn reverse stitched rectangle window die, and I also used a normal rectangle die as well to create this frame. And you just saw me there, I was trying to make sure that I was using the shiny side to the front of the card. So just cut that out of some of the pearlescent black cardstock, and then I'm going to stamp my sentiment now. I should have heat embossed the sentiment on that pearlescent paper because I have noticed that it's 2 days later doing the voiceover and it's still not dry on there. So if you're going to be stamping on the pearlescent paper, you probably want to heat emboss or use your Stays On ink to make sure it doesn't go anywhere. So this card is super simple. I wanted to use the final sentiment in the stamp set, the Trick or Treat, and then I'm just going to add a couple of the ephemera onto the card. I loved these cute little pumpkins, and then I'm going to add one of the girl images in between there. So again, really simple card, just popped her up on some foam adhesive. But I just love this kit for the fact that you could make clean and simple quick cards easy, and they look amazing. So I just finished that off with some of the sequins again, and you can see in the light here how that pearlescent paper just shines. It's so pretty. So here's a look at all of the 10 cards. I hope you enjoyed this video and found some inspiration from this card kit. And I just want to thank Love for Lizi again for asking me to design. I had a ton of fun. I could still probably make 10 more cards easily with the contents of the kit. So thanks everybody for watching. Have a great day. Bye.